I view foster care as the heart of our city. We have the human trafficking problem. We have the incarceration rate. We have the homelessness rate. These are all symptoms of a heart condition that we have in Kansas City. If we want to see an impact in 20 years, we need to do something now.
When a child gets something brand new, I'm going to bring it to myself. When I received something brand new as a kid, there was an unspoken conversation between the person who gave it to me that said, "You're valuable. You're seen."
Well, welcome to Packed with Purpose, a Care Package Inbound podcast. Care Package Inbound exists to deliver hope. And you listening to this podcast, you actually get to be part of that hope. My name is Chris Youngdale. I'm joined by
Jessica Silvey.
Excellent. In today's episode, we are really excited. We've got a special guest with us, somebody whose journey with CPI has been quite incredible, and we're really excited to be able to introduce Emily Linhardt. Emily Linhardt is the CFO of Care Package Inbound. So, Emily, welcome.
Thank you.
Is this your first podcast?
No, it's not actually.
Okay, so you have some experience in
Yes.
podcasting.
Yes.
Okay.
My first podcast though was actually at my home as opposed to a studio. So this is a little new.
Okay,
Yeah.
Well, how are you feeling?
We're high class here.
I think I'm okay. I think as long as I can breathe and pretend that this is a coffee shop, I think we're great.
Well, we've got our coffee mugs, so,
We're fine.
it's filled with water. There's no coffee in it, but that's really amazing. Well, Emily, I'm excited for today's conversation because we get to just jump into what's been going on with you and your journey, like we talked about, into Care Package Inbound. Mm-hmm. For me, the earliest memory of our conversation actually was, so we go back a ways.
Yes.
We've been friends for a really long time.
Yes.
You and my wife have been friends for, well, I guess the same amount of time.
Same amount.
Yeah. But we went out for lunch randomly because we hadn't seen each other in a minute. And you were like, what's going on? And we were giving updates. I was like, yeah, kind of doing this thing with, some girl named Jess. And it's called Care Package Inbound. And we were able to kind of share vision, needs, kind of hope. What was your first kind of reaction to hearing about CPI?
I think the first reaction was like, wow, this is amazing. Like the fact that there was a possibility of helping the foster care system without being a foster parent. And so that was probably the biggest aha moment for me was that, I could actually contribute if I'm not able to foster at this time in my life. So, and honestly, let's just be really real. We had been doing small group together at our church. We had been doing things together. I'm like, you're doing something without me? No.
Yeah, totally fair. Yeah, because you and Joe at the time were co-leaders and branching off and kind of I'm going to run my own kind of small group. And so,
Yeah. We ended up joining when we had our small group had gotten really big. And so we ended up joining the other group once our time had come to an end. And so, I was between the small group and wanting to, join in on whatever you guys were doing or whatever you were doing at the time because I didn't know you yet, Jess. I was like,
we'd missed each other.
Going on?
We had the degrees of separation thing was always funny because after we got together, we're like, oh, wait a minute. We have so many connections going way back into our childhood that we just missed each other by 1 degree.
It truly is a small world.
Yeah.
Truly a small world, yes. Yeah, so just to... If I may, when I heard the conversation, when I heard you talking about it and sharing about it, I just, there was something that just kind of, I don't know what the word is other than sparkled, shimmered.
Yeah, came alive.
It came alive. Thank you. Yeah, it came alive. And so I was like, tell me more. And from that point, then I heard about an opportunity to join you all in a backpacking event. And that was probably, about 3 months after I had the initial conversation with you and Cassie.
Yeah, and then I think you discovered, Jess, that Emily and I are basically the same person.
Yes. We have a very weird dynamic between the three of us. Because I always think it's funny because I forget.
I think we were separated at birth.
But you guys,
basically.
guys have this sibling thing, and I am definitely part of the sibling group, but I am definitely the youngest. And you have that vibe. You're like, come on,
two
come
older
on,
bossing the younger. That's
yes,
basically what
and
it comes
I'm
down to.
so okay with it because I am actually the youngest in my family group, so I just fit right into that role. It works great. But no, I think it's been Emily beyond just being helpful for CPI. has been an incredible friend. And there's been times that in the struggle of getting things going, it's not easy. We've all leaned on each other heavily. And it's been pretty incredible to have you along. So I appreciate you if I don't say that enough.
Absolutely.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, you had said something that it kind of like it came alive when you were hearing about it. And I think, a lot of times like vision can sound, when somebody is sharing vision, it sounds really great when you hear it, but it becomes real when you see it. And you had mentioned that you were able to step into a packing event couple months after actually hearing it. So talk to me a little bit about that event and what was your first reaction to it? And it's tangible, something that you can actually do. You're seeing it in action. You're a part of it. I think you had brought your kids to it as well.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about that.
So that was actually one of the primary reasons why I came. My son needed community service hours. And also we were at the season of life where I really wanted him to learn about serving other people, serving organizations. And so the conversation that we had at the restaurant was very timely because that was really heavily on my mind. Then, 2 months later, I walk into this really big event. The place that had been rented was large. I mean, it just felt extraordinary, and we had there was tables everywhere. There were items everywhere that were just like, okay, this is interesting. Like these are physical items going into backpacks. Like all of it looked like just a really cool opportunity to serve kiddos and children. And so, so I brought my son along. I didn't bring my other two. I have 3 kids. I didn't bring my other 2. I just brought my son along, and we together just started assembling backpacks. I saw you guys running around like crazy.
And now you are the person that runs around
and now
like
I'm
crazy.
the one that runs around like crazy. Yes. Well, we all do, but yes. Yes, I'm a part of that. So it was a really cool experience, and it's just seeing everybody work together for just good. Was just, especially this was in a season where it was very dark for globally, and to see a spark of light and a spark of hope come from this event was incredibly empowering and very encouraging. And I wanted to know more. I wanted to learn more. And I wanted to join in that work. There was absolutely a desire to join in the work after I experienced that first packing event.
Yeah, because this was coming right out of the pandemic.
Yes. Yeah.
So
that was the reason why we didn't
and,
see each other. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why we were catching up, is because everyone's kind of out of lockdown and, hey, we can, be friends again.
Yeah, exactly.
I think what's kind of cool about this, you sharing your experience with the first packing event, is for volunteers coming in, they're seeing one thing, right? You're seeing these tables and you're seeing like the potential impact, and actually being part of that impact was just amazing. For us, there was this huge curtain, if you remember or you don't remember. Behind that curtain, Jess, if you remember this.
Oh, I remember. Chaos is what was behind that curtain.
It would be smart. Okay, this is where we
Do
need
I
you so
remember
much.
a curtain?
You probably
It's
don't.
one of those like room dividing things.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It was behind this. It was behind the podium.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
So yes, behind the podium. So we thought it would be smart to let's bring every item that we have for CPI and let's do inventory before this event. So we're setting up for the event.
It was not a good idea.
Trying to do inventory.
Panic. We all panicked. And then I think like the way that we pack bags now is completely different too. Because at that time we were still coming into doing like massive amounts of bags because we needed to know like how many we could make and knowing like what we needed to put into those. And we're still doing the research and so on and so forth. So even that packing event itself is completely changed. But I hope that the people that come to our packing events now still have that impact that you had, that they come in and they see the purpose, they see the research, they see the heart behind it. Yeah. And hopefully a little less panic, because I'm glad that you didn't notice it on our face that day, because there was a couple times.
And I think that, even though, it's like one of those, like a duck going down a stream, and it looks very calm, but actually it's like
underwater,
paddling.
Yes, we were paddling very hard.
But you couldn't see that part of it. So in my opinion, it was a well-run event because I didn't know anything different. And just, again, to make that impact, to see as we were packing the bags, to see those backpacks then gather on the floor and being completed, and then just being able to be like, wow, like these are actually going to get distributed out to our local area and to our local kids.
Yeah.
It's a powerful thing to be part of, and I'm really excited that you took that next step to be part of it. You had said something though that's kind of sticking with me, and you were bringing your son into this. Now, obviously, he needed community service hours, right, which is really, really great. But you had this passion of I want to do a little bit more, and let's bring my child into this. But also, you had made a statement earlier that how can I impact the foster community even if I'm not an active foster parent right now? And I think that the thing is invitation. So how can we as parents invite our children, model, not only just to our children, but I think to anyone who's listening right now as well? How can we model the ability to make an impact even though we're not in the middle of something, right? So we're not fostering. Is there still a way that we can model that?
Yeah.
And I think that we can. So I just kind of want to riff on that for a little bit, is what are some of the ways that we can invite our children, and what's some of the impact that they can actually get from you being involved in this too?
The word foster care is just like this really big word, and you don't know like what goes into foster care. It feels like it's too big. It's too big to handle. And if I can't handle it all, I'm kind of an all or nothing kind of person. If I can't handle it all, or if I can't contribute to this just big opportunity and challenge that we see in our society, then why spend time at all? And so I think the biggest thing for me with my son, with my kids, is that when you have a heart for something, you don't discount what you have in your talent pool, if you will, in the gifts that you've been given to contribute. You use what you've been given to be able to serve the community as a whole, to specifically this community. I think for me, that's modeling. It's just saying, you know what, this is who I am, this is what I have to offer, and I'm going to give whatever I've got. And that for me, that would be the example that I want to leave for my kids, is that you give what you have, and it's going to be enough. It's going to get multiplied somehow.
Yeah, that's powerful. Jess?
I think for me, with my kids, it's definitely something that I've noticed after years of doing this. I mean, we started CPI when I think Felix was 2, was when I first started the research of it. But what I've noticed is that my kids actually see people. And it's not necessarily like they don't agree with everyone. They're not like always 100% doing whatever it is to please that person. But they see people and they love people. And like they see the guys on the side of the road that need a coat. And my kids see other children in their classrooms that are struggling. And they understand and they have empathy for these people and these kids and these communities that I think most of the world right now is kind of blind to. We tend to get in these personal bubbles of schedules. Like, what's next on my schedule? And when that thing pops up, or that person pops up outside of our schedule, we don't have time to divvy away from it, our carefully laid out plans to take care of that person. And it's like, at what cost? I mentioned this to you earlier today, and I was saying, like, Tim Tebow's been all over all of my social media everywhere. But he had this quote, and I wrote it down, and he said, he was talking about being successful. Let me see if I can find it. It's like, he says, success is personal, significance is about others. And I think that what we're doing right now is training our children to be significant. And I think that that's much more valuable than telling them that they have to be successful in life.
Well said. Well said.
I think something that you had mentioned is the feeling of being paralyzed because something is so overwhelming. Right? And I think a lot of people find themselves in that position so many times when you think through so many things in the world, but we're talking through foster care right now and the foster community, the impact there. It is big. There are thousands, hundreds of thousands of kids in the U.S. that don't have a place, that are being bounced around from home to home. It is overwhelming when you think about the sheer need that this community has. And so, for many people, it can be like, well, it's just too big. I'm just too little. I can't make a difference. But it's one of those things that, like, if everybody does what they can do, right? Just tap into your capacity. If you only have an hour to give, and in that hour it's you wrote a couple notes of encouragement to somebody, you're making a difference, right?
Yeah.
If you only have a couple hours to give, so you just show up to a public packing event and you pack a couple of backpacks, you are transforming the life of a child who's receiving that. If we all just do something small, the impact can be so great. And I think that that's the invitation that I want for my kids is I want to invite them into do what you can. Don't stand on the sideline. Like, come along, be part of something. They usually show up to help load or unload, or they pack a couple bags or whatever it is. Back when I had all of this stuff in my basement, Jess would show up and they'd be downstairs helping her organize and do different things, talking her ear off as well.
I got all the dirt.
all the dirt. She knew too much of our family
way
dynamic.
Too much. I'd be like,
Yeah.
I want to know that.
I don't know if I needed to know that.
But that's okay. That's what kids.
Still, there is an invitation to not shy away from it. It's not too big. And also, I think that we're teaching our kids and being involved in this too is that you actually have more than you think that you can give. And being a part of something that's larger than you is amazing.
I think on that theme, just, as you guys know, we are Christ-based. And in the Bible, most people know this story about Jesus feeding the 5,000. He fed the 5,000 with a couple fish and a couple loaves of bread. That is pittance. And so if he can feed 5,000 people with very little, what can he do with our very little obedience, with our very little skills? If we are obedient towards the calling that he is telling us to go towards, it doesn't matter that it's little because he can multiply. And I think that that's very important is like, if he can do that with loaves of bread, what can he do with what I give?
Yeah.
You know?
That's really good. There's something in Middle Eastern culture, actually, in Jewish culture specifically, where they have this connection to plants and trees and the environment around them. And there's a tree called a tamarisk tree. And the thing with this is when you plant it, it takes so long to grow, to bear fruit, that you are not going to experience the fruit of this, the shade of this, but generations to come will.
Yeah.
And so something that they ask this question a lot is, what tamarisk tree have you planted today? What have you done to impact generations from now? You might not see the fruit of it, but what are you doing? What tree are you planting today for future generations?
Yeah.
And I think that sticks with me from when we're talking about CPIs. We may not see the full fruit of this, but we're planting trees right now, and I want to continue to keep planting trees that are going to bear fruit and have shade generations from now.
Yeah. And that just even thinking about generations like beyond ours or even our children's, it blows my mind. So holding on to that hope and realizing that, there is a legacy being built right now.
Yeah.
And we don't know what's going to happen on the other side of this after we're gone. But it's mind-blowing.
Our job is just to plant the tree.
Yeah.
Right? And can you say yes to planting a tree? And if you're like, yes, I can plant, I can start something, I can sow a seed, then it can be something really cool in the future.
In order to plant a tree, you have to get out of your own way.
Ooh.
Ouch.
And you have to be able
Now we're uncomfortable.
But again, if I'm looking at okay, I'm a bookkeeper by trade. How in the world am I going to impact the foster care community with bookkeeping? That's where your mind would go unless you have a kingdom perspective, as we call it, or the perspective that goes beyond just the here and the now. It's.
But you guys are absolutely right, and we're on this tree theme right now, and I'm just going to continue it because you bringing up the tamarisk tree. We were talking about this the other day.
We were,
and we talk about these things a lot,
Yeah.
And the quote that I say, which is pretty much the same thing, and it says, "Society grows great when old men plant trees, the shade of which they know they will never sit in." And that just brings me back to the full spectrum of the heart of foster care. So, and you guys know this, and I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast, but I view foster care as the heart of our city. And we have so many different things in Kansas City, in the world that we see today that are impacted by it. We have, we have the human trafficking problem. We have the incarceration rate. We have the homelessness rate. We have the rate of children going back into foster care because their parents were in foster care, so on and so forth. These are all symptoms of a heart condition that we have in Kansas City. And I can, put statistics and studies out to you all day long. I read them for a hobby at this point, for heaven's sakes. But the point is, if we want to see an impact in 20 years, if we want to actually see less homeless, if we want to see better rates for children successfully not going into human trafficking, so on and so forth, we need to do something now.
Yeah.
We can't go back in time. So what are we doing now for tomorrow?
Yeah.
It's important to set those things in place. And you're right, we might not ever see what that looks like in 20 years, but we can start it. And that's important. And sometimes we're not going to make a difference. You might not see your difference, but that's not the point. Again, I love Middle Eastern culture. Beautiful. One of the things that they do a lot is they do hand weaving. And if you've ever watched someone weave a piece of cloth, like on a hand loom, and you have different strings going this way and different strings going this way. In my perspective, our life, God calls us to be one string. We have strings that are going to run alongside us, and we have strings that are going to be running this way. So we'll have some that will just be intermediate with us for a minute. But it's so hard for us because we have this life and we know we're a string, but we can't see the rest of the tapestry. Mm-hmm. And until our string has completed its purpose, we're not going to be able to step back and see it. And as our maker, God is our maker. He's our weaver. He's going to say, you need to trust me. You need to be a string. Mm-hmm. And then when I'm done, you'll be able to see the beauty of what I've created. Mm-hmm. But it's so hard because we go, well, I'm not enough. God said, I didn't call you to be enough. I told you to be obedient. Mm-hmm. And it's so hard sometimes for us that want to be movers and shakers and get a full picture to just be like, okay, I'm going to be the best string I can be and trust that you have the rest, So.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
So
good life lessons today.
So good, yeah.
So life lessons. Let's talk through that a little bit. Actually, I think that's a great segue. You had shared with me in a lot of past conversations, actually, I think potentially even at that lunch that we had talked about, but just how personal this has become stepping into Care Package Inbound. And one of the things that you had shared is how for you growing up, you didn't grow up with a lot. Brand new, I think specifically, was something that was rare. And just as a reminder for our audience is that we are dedicated as Care Package Inbound to what goes into our backpacks. They are new items. Most of the items, if we can keep the tags on them, we keep the tags on them. Some don't have tags because they come in packages and we have to, separate them out to be able to pack them. Mm-hmm. But they are all brand new items. Mm-hmm. So this child isn't getting hand-me-downs. They're not getting old, used clothes and telling them, like, this is all that you're worth. Mm-hmm. No, you are worth something brand new. Mm-hmm. And that's something that really stuck out to you. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So actually, even going back to the first packing event, I didn't realize how impacted I would be about brand new. Mm. And I actually didn't realize why I had such a heart in a lot of ways for Care Package Inbound and the mission of it really until like 6 months ago. Okay, that's embarrassing. I've been with you all for almost 5 years. And so you'd think that I would know, like, why does this matter to me so much? And it's really because of that. When a child gets something brand new, I'm going to bring it to myself. When I received something brand new as a kid, there was an unspoken conversation between the person who gave it to me that said, you're valuable, you're seen, and you're so valuable. I'm going to give you brand new. I'm not going to give you cast-offs. Wow. And so when you can't afford a lot, you go to thrift stores, you go to secondhand, you go to used. And I think, nowadays as an adult, if I can get, a piece of furniture off of Facebook Marketplace, then I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. I would prefer to pay that price as opposed to a brand new price. But when it comes to like clothing specifically, there's something about a brand new item. And I was reminded of a very specific instance as a child where I was given a brand new outfit from a relative, and it changed my life. I think about that picture now, and I think one of my relatives still has it. I hope so. But I think about that picture with this brand new outfit, and that is the. I think when I have doubts about carrying on, or just we're going through a hard day or a hard season, you're like, okay, when do we get the next packing event? When do we get the resources to be able to purchase the items for a backpacking event? I go back to being like, this is why it matters.
Yeah.
Because as a little girl, I found that value of being seen and heard and loved. And I'm sorry, so one of the items was hot pink shorts. Like, that is not a practical item. But it was so impactful for me, and I'm so thankful for that memory. And that truly is, when I think about it, the real reason why I do what I do with CPI and why I want to continue to do it. Because because when you can give just an item, a beautiful item, a quality item, a brand new item to a child, it changes the world. It changes the world intrinsically, And it's like, wow. I want to be able to do this for somebody else too, because it matters so much to me. So,
yeah, they're not. The clothing, the items in the backpack, they're not just supplies. I think what you're saying is like, this is a message to the child receiving it.
Yes.
That you matter.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. Well put.
That's powerful.
Yes.
It's not just items; it's a message.
Yes. Yes.
And I don't think we realize just how that affects them long term. Mm-hmm. Like, we talk about how these are 48-hour emergency bags, and that's true. But the items inside are studied, and we make sure they're really good quality, and so on and so forth. And in the end, like, that message that you matter can affect them on how they approach the rest of their life. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, like, I am more valuable than if I did that. Or I am more valuable than to put myself in that situation. And I think that's the message that we want to send these kids is you have value. And it doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you've been through. It doesn't matter what people have done to you, tried to take away from you, whatever kind of nonsense has happened. I'd say other words, but we're on air. But whatever thing has put you in that situation does not diminish your value.
Yes.
You are intrinsically valued.
Yes.
And there's nothing that you can do that's gonna make us or God look at you any differently.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a hard message to receive a lot of times when you've been through something so traumatic, though.
So hard. And really hard to believe, I think. Yeah. I've had a lot of kids. My husband and I are privileged enough to be able to mentor some college kids and stuff. And we've had a couple kids, one specifically. We told them, we're like, hey, we love you. And they're like, why? I was like, because we chose to. And that's it. You didn't do anything to earn it. You can't do anything to get rid of it. We just chose to. And it just blew their mind. They still couldn't get it. But we decided, you know what? We're going to love you, and we're going to prove it to you day after day. And that's what we're doing at Care Package Inbound, is we love these kids. And I can tell you that from the depth of my heart, is I love my kids, my biological kids. But when I say my kids, I mean Kansas City's kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is where we're starting, obviously. Our goal or heart is to take this beyond Kansas City. And we will eventually, actually, with your help, Emily. We're going to be able to do that. And so I want to kind of jump into potentially like looking at long-term vision, if you're okay with that. Because you had stepped in from a packing event. So lunch to a packing event to I feel like I need to do more, and you stepped in not just as a volunteer, but as our CFO, which is not a small task. It's actually a big task. So talk to me a little bit about, what made you take that step?
Take the step to becoming the CFO?
Yeah.
It's the desire to, I remember after that first packing event, giving you a call and saying, I have this picture in my mind of just how impactful CPI can be, not just to Kansas City, but globally. And so I want to join in. How can I help? And it was so funny because in my mind, I'm like gathering inventory, making calls, calling potential donors, And Chris is like, well, we need a bookkeeper. And I'm like,
You needed a bookkeeper so bad.
okay. So, and I have that look on my face because I was like, oh, really? You just need a bookkeeper? Okay. And
Like it's no big deal.
Like it's no big deal. And I think you knew at that point that I had stepped into owning my own bookkeeping firm. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. This is my next client as an independent contractor. Let's go for it. But over the last few years, keeping the financial reports going, making sure that everything is has a nice bow on it, everything's accurate, all of that. I want to continue to help CPI grow. And whatever that looks like. So long term, I just would love to continue to get more involved, to be able to extend the vision beyond Kansas City. Just a strong organization here.
The foundation.
A strong foundation here before we can move on.
Yeah.
Really desiring to have a strong foundation here before we're able to do that, but making it happen, and in whatever capacity that looks like.
I'm remembering something while we're talking here, and I remember when you very first started, and we were both super excited, and which we still are, but like you had a dream, and I had something very, very similar, and it was a picture and. Remind me if this gets any.
I'm curious. Yeah.
But it was like a picture of the United States, and in my dream, there was this blooming that started happening in like Kansas City, and then all of a sudden there was more blooming that was happening throughout the rest of the United States. And before we knew it, it was just this beautiful light coverage of the entire United States, starting from Kansas City. And it was just knowledge and care, and I couldn't describe it, but I remember talking to you about it, and you had something similar, and I was like, "That's cool."
Yeah,
I think yours specifically, you said it was a light that came from Kansas City.
It was a blue flame.
A blue flame, and mine was a flower because gardening.
Blue flowers, blue flames.
Blue flowers, blue flames. That started in Kansas City and just started taking up the map.
Yes.
And we're like, yes, I very much so felt like it was what we were called to do. And I'm like, we're starting here because this is where we originate. This is where God is telling us to be. I think it's so important to have your mission field where your feet are, whether your feet take you wherever you are every day.
Yeah.
Your mission field is where your feet are. But I see us continuing to grow for the kingdom and just see where this can take it. Because foster care, number one, it's been stuffed under a rug for 80 years. So people just need to know more about it. But also, there is something that everyone can do.
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful.
Well, and I think especially just even going back to your quote, it's not about success. It's about significance. Because if significance isn't serving other people, I want a significant life. And if I can impact even if that image of a blue flame was so prominent in my mind, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like it feels so overwhelming. I don't know how I'm going to be. In my mind, I'm like, I've got to go everywhere and do all of this. No, like you're saying, like I just need to be faithful with where I'm at and serve my community with what I've been given.
Yeah, I think you've got incredible ability to cast vision, encouragement, and also you're just really gifted with being able to see where we're at and steward what we have very, very well, which is a big reason why I was like, I think we need to go deeper than bookkeeper, and also you can't just be a volunteer. Emily, I have this habit, I guess, apparently listening to you. Yeah. I'm just now realizing this, by the way, that because you're like, you like push me to go further, and just keeps trying to get rid of care package inbound at the beginning, and I was like, you have to run this.
My problem was I was like, we talk about like the significance and stuff like that, and we talk about being overwhelmed. I was, for the longest time, and still struggle with my inadequacies. Yeah. And I go, man, I am not enough. And I have to remember Christ always in the back of my head. And he says, I never called you to be enough. I'm enough. And I'm like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But I did. I tried to get rid of it for so long. But now I think we have this wonderful trio where as I go, oh my gosh, look at this huge vision that's so amazing. And then Chris is like, yes, but let's bring it back here and let's make sure that we can practically take care of it. And then Emily's over here and she's like, this is how we would take care of it.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
between the three of us, we have this ability to see and start a full vision. It's not just one of us. Like I'm going to be honest, my head's in the clouds 90% of the time. I'm trying my best. But
You're doing pretty good.
between the two of you, we're able to actually, I think, follow God's calling. And I tell people this all the time. I was like, when you start on anything that God tells you to do, it feels like you're on the edge of the Grand Canyon and God is like, hey, on the other side of the Grand Canyon, I need you to start walking. You need to go right there. And you're like, oh my gosh, God, but look at the crevasse. Look at the huge canyon between me and your will. Look at all the things that I can't cover. And he says, I never asked you to tell me how you were going to do it. I told you to start stepping. And it's this like, it reminds me of, why can't I think of his name? Temple of Doom, has a whip.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones. Thank you. With the cup.
Boy.
Thank you.
We've got some work to do,
No.
Emily.
So
Okay.
in the one where he's trying to get the goblet, right?
Yeah.
He has to pass over this crevasse or this canyon, right? And in it, there's this invisible bridge. And he doesn't know that. He kind of figures it out by throwing some dust on it. We don't have that. But the idea is that you have to have faith and walk. And it's a very visual representation of that. And I can tell you every single step is terrifying. I keep quoting different things. There's also this thing like Lion King, Rafiki talking to Simba's dad up in the clouds. And he's like, that's the plan? It's like, you've been up there too long. Your head is in the clouds. Like, I cannot tell you how many times I've had conversations with God going, really? Really? I don't know. And he's like, walk. And I'm like,
And I think
fine.
with both of us, struggling with doubts and everything like that, what you were kind of like talking about, Chris, was just like this, you're kind of like a coach in a lot of ways, like this athletic coach that says, keep going, like you can do it, like stop doubting yourself, keep going.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. It really does help bring the team together and just be able to support one another.
Yeah.
I would say that overall, actually, Care Package Inbound, we exist, obviously, to deliver hope. We say this a lot
Yes.
to the foster care community. Really, through this podcast, through Packed with Purpose, a big goal of mine is just to encourage our listeners to take those steps. So if I can coach from this platform, if we can coach from this platform,
Yes.
like that's incredible. And you've talked a lot about how God calls. If somebody doesn't believe in God, there is still this feeling that you get, whether you believe in God or not. There is this uncomfortableness when you are faced with a hard topic, like foster care, for example. And my encouragement is to just press into that uncomfortable. Like sit in that uncomfortable for a second and do something about it. You can do something about it. I would love to encourage our audience to just take those steps.
Yes.
And it can be in your daily day. Like we're talking to a bunch of teenagers the other day, and we're like, hey, when you see someone and you think they have really great hair, say something. If you are walking along and
any encouragements.
have some encouragements. Let's say that you're a gamer kid, right? And you decide that I don't know if anybody knows what Discord is or anything like that, but you can be encouraging to those around you. You can be a bright spot to those around you every day. Yeah. And I encourage the people listening to this podcast to just start being that bright light. It is so easy in today's world to be negative. It really is. But intentionally set your mind to being a bright light on your daily interactions, your daily walk, whatever that is. And so that way that you, instead of complaining about all the things that we want to see in the world, you're going to be able to find that joy, So start your day with that intentionality, And we want to encourage you to come and walk beside us. We do. But at the same time, we want you to start using that intentionality in your daily life.
I have a feeling that you're going to echo pretty much what you just said. But Emily, something that we're going to start doing, this is going to be new on this podcast, so we get to kind of use you to try this. But we want to ask this question at the end of a podcast with any guest or Jess, if it's just you and I here. The question is this. If this episode were a backpack, what's one thing that you hope people walk away carrying?
What I want people to carry away from this conversation is a motivation to do something with what they've been given.
Yeah.
Whatever gift that is. If it's bookkeeping, if it's being able to call a friend or to call a business and say, hey, I have this really cool organization that needs resources. I think just the motivation to just do what you can with what you've been given is probably the way I would answer that question. There's another word that I want to use that's just not coming to my mind, but we'll stick with motivation for now. Yeah.
It might come in just a second. You're
It
going to be like,
probably will.
I remembered it.
It probably will.
Or at 2 a.m. That's what happens.
Or 2 a.m.
Or 2 at 8, yeah.
Jess, what about you? What's something that you hope people walk away carrying?
I think you were right when you said I was going to echo a little bit of what I said before. But I think just moving back to that quote about significance. I mean, if you can live your life daily in pursuit of a significant difference in the world around you, I think that is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you shouldn't strive to be successful. I think being successful is wonderful. It even provides maybe even stepping stones for you to be more significant. But at the end of the day, when you lay down your head and you're passing away, whatever it is, at the end of your life, strive for a life of significance.
That's good.
Yeah.
I think I would want people carrying away, like, what are you doing today to make an impact for tomorrow? Ask yourself that question and sit in that, because you may think of yourself as a simple bookkeeper, but you have so much to offer. You may think that you are not qualified, to be able to run a nonprofit.
Yeah.
But guess what? You can be used to be able to do that. You have the ability to make an impact. You have a part to play. And so I think that would be my encouragement, is I want you to walk away like sitting in that and asking yourself that question. So with that, if this conversation stirred something in you, don't ignore it. Awareness changes little, action transforms. We'll see you next time on Packed with Purpose, where every backpack tells a story.